It could be a first time, or you could have done it thousands of times in the past. But getting a call for an interview is always a special moment. It's a moment of joy, happiness, exciting times. However, it is also nerve-wracking at the same time, and a lot of people get jittery by the thought of giving an interview. But what if I tell you that if you prepare well for an interview, the chances of you getting selected exponentially go up? And that brings us to our today's topic, which is how should you prepare for interviews? Preparing for interviews, believe it or not, is no rocket science. In fact, it is an art. And in today's video, I'm going to give you one technique with 5 steps. If you follow this technique, learn this technique, and follow these steps properly, I can guarantee you that you will absolutely instantaneously start seeing positive results from the word go. But to be able to actually leverage this technique, I request you to watch the video till the end so that you get the entire essence of the video. So let's get going. I'm going to give this technique to you, but first I'm going to ask you a question. And through this question, I'm going to convince you how this technique could be helpful. Imagine a situation in which you are in love with a person. Now, people who are married, you have to just imagine, okay? So imagine that you are in love with someone and you really want to marry this person. Now you go and tell and approach this person and tell this person that you are the love of my life and I want to marry you. Everything is okay, but there's just one small hitch. This person tells you that the person will only marry you if you go and meet the parent of this person, the parents rather. And if you're able to convince the parents, the person will marry you. Now, what would you do in this case? There are 3 things that you need to keep in mind. First is that you really are in love with this person, and because you're in love, we come to our second point, which is you need to convince the parents. And third, you cannot run away with the person you love. That's not an option. So what would you do? So I'll tell you, most people, what they would do is they would do everything in their capacity to impress the parents. They will find what the parents likes, what the parents dislikes, what do they find, what kind of characteristics they would want in the person, and what would they consider as a suitable match for their child. You will try and find it out. You will find out by asking this person you love, through acquaintances, through social media if possible. You will do everything under the sun possible to try and convince the parents that you are the best possible match for their child. So you will get yourself ready, you will dress well for the occasion, you will wear the best perfume, you will go on time, you will put your best foot forward. Will you not do that? Of course you will do that. And that is exactly what we are going to be doing. And that approach is what we are going to be using to prepare for our job interviews. Now, what we learned from this example was a little hazy. I'm going to clear the blur for you. I'm going to give you a technique with 5 clear-cut defined steps. Follow these steps and see the difference. So when you go for an interview, I want you to go with the mindset of not stopping until and unless you woo the interviewer, flow the interviewer, make the interviewer fall head over heels for you. That should be the intention that you go with. If you have that approach, I'm sure you will see a lot of difference. So let's start with our 5 steps. The first step is define the purpose. Why, what is it that we want to achieve out of our preparation? And that is always going to be to woo the interviewer. Here it could be interviewer, it could be company, or it could be a group of interviewers. What we thought of parents in that example is the same thing. That's the purpose, and we are not going to stop until unless we end up achieving that. So that's going to be our first step. You woo the interviewer. second step is you will initiate the research. You are going to be looking at the company history, what the company is into, when they were founded. You ought to know all these things. Who are the founders? Where are they based out of? Who are their clients? What are the products or services that they offer? Okay, what is the job description? You need to know what it entails. If there is any news about the company, you are going to find it out and you are going to write down everything. Anything interesting that you find out, you're going to be writing it down. A lot of times people go for interviews and simple questions like, can you tell us what you know about the company? And they are just looking at the ceiling. Clearly shows that you're not prepared. Okay, then we move on to the next step, which is to develop the plan. This step is very important because in this step, you are going to be using the data that you have gathered in step number 2, and you are going to be using this data to make a plan. So what do you do when you make a plan? Things like you align your resume properly, glance through it. You will also analyze all the data that you have gathered during your research and jot down key important points that you may want to use during your interview. It could be a recent news that you have read and you may want to use it to showcase that you know about the company and you are well read about the company. It gives a good impression. So you may want to jot down key points. If you have found out some key common questions that are being asked, you may want to plan your answers in a way that it is going to benefit you. If you could plan some answers to tricky questions that companies ask. A lot of companies try and ask tricky questions these days. We will do a video on tricky questions later on. Most important thing, you plan your hook steps. Okay, we call it hook steps or your magnets. It's a very very strong tool that you can use in an interview, and you can guide an interviewer to a place where you want them to come to, a place where you are well prepared. Ask questions, the answers which you are already prepared for. So now how do you do that? We are going to be doing a separate video on that separately. So you are going to be doing all these things in step number 3, which is developing your plan. By the way, don't worry, in the description I have given a link to an Excel file and have given all these details in an Excel file you can refer to later on. What will you do after that? Step number 4 is execute the plan. So what do? You reach on time, be on time, you be confident, and the confidence will come through your preparation. So be confident, use correct language, grammatically correct. That is important. How do you do that? If you are not sound on communication skills, start practicing right away. Uh, there are tools and techniques that you can use. It's never too late, but that is important. Like it or not, that is important. So communicate well, dress well, uh, answer your questions that you prepared for well, be confident, look into the eye, have a smile on your face, execute whatever you had planned for correctly. Do not look at the ceiling. The interviewer should feel that you are the best person possible for this job. So execute your plan well. And the final step is to follow up. This is the last step, follow up. Once you're through with the interview, it is always a good practice to send a thank you email to the interviewer saying, thank you, you've given me a chance and I look forward to working with the organization. Regards so and so. It's always a good practice, and hopefully you should hear from them. They should like your candidature and hear from you should hear from them pretty soon. If not, you can also send a follow-up email to show your enthusiasm in terms of you are really looking forward to work with them. So follow these steps and I'm sure you will see a stark improvement in your performance in interviews. and all of you go get the job, nail it, and all the best to you all. If you like this video, I would like you to press the like button, share this video, comment on the video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell button. And one last thing I forgot to tell you: when you go for the interview, please, the intention should be to woo the interviewer, but do not say I love you to the interviewer. I am not responsible for whatever happens after you say I love you. Anyways, I'm so that's it. I will see you in my next video, and have a good shot at that interview.